Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajoa and I hope this video finds you well. And I hope the brands and the fragrances I'm going to talk about today are not going to get offended by this. These are fragrances and houses that I respect. I have in the past spoken about several fragrances from these houses, three in particular, that I loved and adored their fragrances. But I feel like there were issues with these particular ones. There are several fragrances I have come across, but these ones I feel I wanted to talk about just to give my opinion. First of all, I'm giving my opinion as to what the fragrances, the impression they left on me, and the fact that they didn't leave such a beautiful, lasting, positive impression on me. So, Swiss Arabia, I adore them with all respect. But when it comes to the three latest releases, the Enigma of Taif, the Vanilla O1. Let me start from Vanilla O1, which I tested for more than three consecutive days, maybe 4 to 5 days. So I'm not saying this based on a one-time test or wear test, something. Sometimes I get spray on the tester strip, take it to my hotel and everything. Sometimes I just get it on me and try not to put any other thing on me. It was just like something I was trying to test it through and through to see how I would, speak about it. And when it comes to Vanilla O1, for example, it was just a little underwhelming to me. It was, I know it is new. People go like, "Oh, you were just testing them during Beauty World and in stores," and yes, I was. But I would anticipate that some of the bottles had sat for a while, because people had been testing them over days, and even the ones in stores, I would assume they had gone through some aging and maceration. But I was not. I was a little underwhelmed with Vanilla O1. I didn't see anything innovative about it, nothing different about it. I'm not expecting anything much, from these new releases. But if you are giving us the price points at at what some of the houses are offering or giving, I think the fragrances should match up. I wasn't really a fan of the Vanilla O1. It sort of reminds me of Yara without the strawberry. And in all honesty, it sort of gives me that it's still beautiful, still beautiful and pleasant and that vanilla, creamy, coconut heavy. But it gave me that Yara impression without the strawberry. I felt like even Yara had a lot more going on than that, in my opinion. Still a very beautiful scent. You might want to try it, you might want to, but this is simply my observation, my work test over days that I spent with some of the fragrances, although I don't have any of these, in full size bottles, but my days of wearing them and testing them, wanting to acquaint myself with them, that is the impression I got from Vanilla O1. It reminds me so much of the original Yara without the strawberry. The dry down and everything gives me that impression. So I feel like the DNA is already done, and it feels like it's already done, and I was expecting a lot more from that particular fragrance. I'll go to the Enigma of Taif, which I feel is a spicy rose, scent. I wouldn't say it is a bad fragrance. It is a good fragrance, but I feel it wasn't, what I was expecting. It's a rose oud. It doesn't have the note of oud, but I get that undertone of oud. And I've seen people comparing it to oud satin mood at a dry down, which I sort of agree. So in essence, it didn't give me anything new and innovative and something I was really looking forward to. It didn't give me that. However, I feel it's still a very beautiful scent, but I was a little underwhelmed with it. It's a rose I'm a little familiar with. I was expecting probably a little more to it, but I didn't get that. So just imagine another variation of that oud satin mood DNA, with a twist. It sort of gives me that, and I was not super impressed with that, but it's still a very beautiful scent. And I'm also going to go with the amber infusion, which was sort of my favorite of the bunch. It was my favorite of the bunch, but I guess for maybe I was not blown away by that. I wouldn't mind a bottle of the amber infusion, but I guess it didn't really speak to me that much. So the three are all beautiful, but all I can say is I wasn't impressed with that much impressed, like, oh, I need to have a bottle, that kind of thing. It felt like DNAs that had already been done, and there was really nothing impressive to my nose. And no offense, but there are so many several releases from Swiss Arabia that I enjoy, that I adore, and I will still continue to get fragrances from Swiss Arabia. But these three, I don't think I'm personally going to get them in my collection. I'm going to go with Fragrance World, and Fragrance World is tricky because one of them, Cassamorado Royale, that is a very old release. It's a very old release. Cassamorado Royale, I've been looking for that for a very long time. Even before the several other Lyra dupes came around, I was looking for that because I had seen it around, but I never got my nose on my hand on it until I got to test them in store. In all honesty, it didn't really give me that Lyra devotion vibe, that lemon cake, vanilla, panna cotta feel. It didn't give me that at all. It felt like a watered down. Of course, it's fragrance world, and sometimes the quality is compromised when it comes to fragrance world, as compared to something like French Avenue, which I adore and enjoy. I enjoy both houses, fragrance world, French Avenue. I think in the past or even up to now, I have several fragrances from the brand that I enjoy, I adore, I praise. But when it comes to the Casa Morado Royale, it fell short of my expectation. Longevity was poor. The fragrance by itself lacked that depth of that, syrupy, decadent devotion vibe. It lacked that. So I was a little disappointed in that. I really wanted to. At a point, I was like, if I find it, I was going to add it, to my collection. I was going to buy it. But after testing it, I realized I had no need to doing that. I was going to talk about the Elysia Sweet Banana. As a matter of fact, I on two occasions I was tempted to get it myself. I was like, let me get it for the sake of review, for the sake of review. After testing it, I was like, it's just okay. I didn't get a super realistic banana scent, because apparently the original one from KLE, Maui, something something, Maui in a bottle, I have not tried that, so I wouldn't be able to speak to the similarities between those two fragrances. However, it felt a little generic, a little flat, really nothing much. I was anticipating a heavy banana forward, fragrance. Maybe it gave me that tropical slight touch of banana leaf, like banana leaf, but it didn't really speak to me that much. I was anticipating that I probably will still get it for the sake of comparison to other banana scents and everything, but I wasn't going to buy it for the price they were asking for because it's a new release. Probably when some time passes and the prices drop here in Ghana, I might get it, but I felt like it was not, I'll get it later probably, but I was not super impressed about that. There was also the other one, which I honestly would not be able to speak to that because although I tested it, it didn't leave any huge impression on me. It was just a very forgettable one. I'll put the bottle on the screen. It was a very forgettable one, and I didn't pay much attention to it. I think it's also another Kiali, one, but I felt like they were very, they were not that impressive, and I could do without them, or probably get a decant later on to see how they macerate and then probably turn out. But I was not impressed with the banana one. It's just a very nice generic fruity, sweet scent without that depth of that banana I was actually personally looking for. So I'm going to say that when it comes to that. And I think the last one, which pains me to say, but I wanted to add it to this list, not because it is a bad fragrance. It's a very beautiful scent. It's called from the Aromatix fragrance, which I have already shown on my video, one of my videos in Very Beauty World. It's called Sun Kissed, Sunkissed. Sunkissed is a very beautiful scent. I wouldn't mind owning a bottle. The only problem I had with Sunkissed is the fact that it so much reminds me of Platine Blanc from the same brand, Aromatix, which I love and adore. As you may be aware, Platine Blanc is one of my favorites, summer, fragrances that I've been raving about. I give it a 10 over 10 with every review that I do. But when it comes to Sun Kissed, it feels too similar to that, in my opinion. It feels too similar to the extent that I feel you don't need both. And in my mind, I'm like, why would you? Although they have some differences, and apparently they are all dipping, like they are both dipping different scents, but the similarities are just too much, it's not like a negligible difference there. I feel like it's a little too similar to own both at this point, to me. But I'll highly recommend that you check it out. If you don't already own Platin Blanc, you might want to go with Suncase, it's replaceable. To me, it's quite replaceable. It's just too similar of a vibe that I feel I don't need both. I don't mind owning both, but I feel it is quite redundant. Maybe you can layer them and everything. But yeah, these are, I think, 5 or 6 fragrances that sort of I was looking forward to them in a way, but somehow I felt like the impression were not like I didn't get the reaction I was expecting from them, But no offense, if you have some of these fragrances and you enjoy them, they are beautiful. They are really beautiful, but they didn't impress me to that extent of wanting them, in my collection. And that is going to be my impressions about these new releases. Yeah. And yeah, that is going to be it for today. Let me know what you think about in the comment section, whether you have had some encounters with these fragrances or you plan on getting some of these ones. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And I hope this video found you. Also, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye bye.